Thank you everybody for joining our session today. As you know, our topic is going to be on how you can optimize your production schedule to reduce costs and lead times. So before we get started, next slide, I'm gonna walk you guys through some housekeeping. So before we get started, I just want to encourage everybody to stay muted. And if you have any questions, please enter those in the chat. We will be answering your questions at the end. If you have any technical issues, please reach out to me directly at my email listed here. And lastly, this session will be recorded and sent to you in a thank you email after the webinar. So next slide. Okay, so as some of you already know from last year, this is a monthly series that will be happening throughout the year. Lots of interesting and exciting topics that we will be covering on a monthly basis. If you're interested to see what other topics we will be covering in this series, just scan that QR code. You will get a full list, and then you can register directly from there. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Ibose, our speaker, and then I'll let him introduce himself and our other speaker, Carol.
Hi, good day, everyone. Go on, Carol.
I can start by introducing myself. So my name is Carol. I've been with GE Vernova for about 2 years, focused on this scheduling tool. And today, along with Ibose, who will introduce himself in a few seconds, we're going to present to you about Proficy Scheduler.
Hi, good day, everyone. My name is Ibose Okondo, and along with Carol, we're business consultants within the Proficy Software and Services business. And we're going to be going over our Proficy Scheduler today, and specifically how you're going to be able to optimize your scheduling process. What you see right now is a quick agenda of what we'll be going through. We'll be going over what Proficy Scheduler is, as well as some purpose use cases. And Carol will also be going through a quick demonstration of the product itself, and we'll have a few minutes at the end to answer some questions. Please, as we go through each part of the presentation or demo, if you do have any questions, do stop us and let us know, and we can take them also as we go through. Now, welcome to Proficy Scheduler. And this isn't specifically a new tool. It's formerly Robex, and we decided to advance Proficy integration with Robex to the next level last year, where we decided to completely integrate it into our Proficy portfolio. And that brings us to the Proficy Scheduler tool that we'll be going over, and I'm sure some of you here have already heard about. This partnership has been going on for 10 years, and is just really an extension of that partnership that we've always had. Specifically, the purpose of this partnership and Proficy Scheduler specifically is to help enhance your production and planning. So the power of Scheduler is pretty infinite, where you're able to really efficiently reschedule, as a client, reschedule different parts of your process efficiently, and also identify and eliminate different bottlenecks that you may be experiencing to help address delays across your production process and achieve different capabilities that finite capacity scheduling tools can really assist with. And the reason for this is, over time, we realized that the finite capacity scheduling space can be filled with something called Proficy Scheduler, which can be used to help optimize your different assets as a client and create realistic schedules, realistic and dynamic schedules that takes into account different new production contexts, where planners who don't know at every given point in time, don't know what is going on, these Proficy Scheduler tool can help assess the what is going on based on reliable information coming from MES or ERP tools, and facilitate informed decision making, where you gain end-to-end visibility and allow you to reduce different labor costs and increase revenue and throughputs. What Proficy Scheduler uses is a dedicated scheduling tool that allows the planner to do detailed production planning ahead of time and allows you to allocate your production task, allocate different equipment, and also raw material in a really user dynamic Gantt chart. And this scheduling tool is really capable to be used in addition with your different ERP tools or MES solutions along with it. And now I'll hand it off to Carol to go over some of these capabilities more in depth.
Yeah, sure. So we have 2 slides prior to jumping into the tool itself, just to show you what it looks like so you can be familiar with what we're talking about. On this slide, the first picture, what we want to point out here is the ability to schedule based on your resource availability. So you'll see that you have your resources on the left side and then the pink and green. They're not always going to be this color, but those are showing that your operations and orders, they're being scheduled back to back to back while considering any constraints that you have in your plan. And then in the bottom picture, you're seeing that, for example, let's say if Mixer 2 went down unexpectedly, you can just put that into your planning tool. The planning tool tells you which orders are affected by that. And then in this way, a planner can come in and reschedule the orders based on real-time information and events that are happening on your shop floor. Next slide, please. And then this is the big picture view of what the application, the tool looks like. So you'll see that this white space, the big white box in the top right, this is your Gantt chart view. You'll see that you have dates and times at the top. And then the white space is where you'll see your orders and operations get scheduled. On the left side, these are where you would find your resources, and your resources could be anything that you need to consider in your production planning. So it can be people, it can be machines, tools, anything that you would need to consider as a part of your production plan, you could input in here as a resource. And then each of those resources would have a set of constraints tied to it. And that's how this tool plans your schedule for you while considering everything that you've input into the tool. And then the final piece of this view is the bottom box. This is where you can see any material constraints that you have, material availability or unavailability. You would also be able to see workload graphs down there. And the bottom view changes dynamically based on your Gantt chart view. I'm going to hop into the tool now to show you exactly how it works when you're in this tool. So this user interface that you're looking at right now is what we call the web planner. So right now, Proficy Scheduler operates both in the Thick client and on the web planner via a URL. I think in the future, we are planning to fully move into the web planner to make it easier to move to SaaS. But in this view, the only difference is it has a more modern look and feel. And so you'll still see this Gantt chart view, this white space in the center with your dates and times at the top. It's very easy to scroll forwards and backwards in this tool. And then you'll also see that if I scroll in, you'll see these graphs at the bottom change based on the view that I am in. And then same as the pictures, you have your resources on the left side. So at a high level, how this tool works as a planner is a planner would come into this order list view, and this is where you would have your orders downloaded from an ERP system or imported from an Excel sheet, whatever it may be that the customer is looking for a tool like this. And so how it works is a planner can come in here, select the orders, and plan them. And so when you out of the box, this tool comes with 4 scheduling strategies that you can choose from, but you're not limited to these 4 options. It's just depending on what your customer is looking for. So let's say your customer right now schedules based on color, or they want to reduce any changeover time. You can configure those strategies to be added to this list so that they can schedule with a click of a button. And so you'll see what I had just done is I had clicked this button, and these bars found the next best schedule forward from right now. And so you'll see all of these orders have been scheduled back to back to back. And these were planned based on the constraints that I had set in here in these resources. So I'll stop there just for now. Are there any questions with what we're seeing? Any questions on how this can be very beneficial for a customer who needs to improve their production planning? Okay, if not, then the only other few things I'll point out in here are that this is what I've shown you is just the very basic capability of this tool to automatically schedule with a click of a button. But this is a very robust, dedicated scheduling tool, and it is built to handle a lot of complexities in customers' manufacturing processes. There's a multitude of different viewing options in here that can make it easier for a planner to plan the way they need. So for example, you'll see in here, I have a long list of resources, but you can always filter down your views just to see a certain subset of resources. And then there's a bunch of different out-of-the-box color coding options, ability to see, which operations have a material shortage so they can't be completed. And so at the end of the day, the purpose of this tool is to make it easier for your production process and production planning. And production planning is typically like the first line of defense once your orders come in from your ERP system. And so the idea is that if you have a solid production plan to start with, but then in addition, you're able to react to events that are occurring on your shop floor pretty immediately, you can have a lot of financial benefits to using a tool like this. So then I'll move back into slides and we can talk about what are the 8 ways, some of the ways you can make money through better scheduling. And so these numbers are coming from customers who have RobX who were interviewed. And these percentages are just responses from them. So 100% of the time, customers experience lower salary costs. So people are, using less overtime or in general, just spending less time on production planning. So 100% of customers that use Proficy Scheduler say that. There's 91% say there's an increase in revenue. 87% say that there's lower capacity costs, and then, lower penalty costs, the ability to tell a customer, let's say 3 weeks in advance that your order is going to be late instead of telling them 2 days in advance that it's going to be late. Just being able to facilitate a better customer relationship. Lower material costs. Some customers, they have a lot of inventory sitting in their plant. So this tool gives them the ability to track, exactly how much do I need? Do I really need to be keeping all this material sitting in my warehouse? Things like that. And then this is a small percentage, but potentially something that could grow in the future, the experiencing lower energy costs. So maybe you have 2 of the same machines, but one's newer than the other. You can prioritize planning orders on the machine that is more energy efficient, or maybe there's certain time of day where it operates better using less electricity or something like that. The ability to do so, 26% of customers who use it now say that they experience these lower energy costs. Any questions here? Abose, do you have anything to add here?
Maybe one question that we usually get that we could touch on is how long do you think it'll take for clients to typically start seeing value after implementing Proficy Scheduler to either optimize their process?
Yeah, I would say so. If someone wants to see quick return on investments, Proficy Scheduler is a great place to start versus, let's say, an MES system. The average implementation time for RobX Scheduler, depending on complexity, usually is about 4 to 6 weeks, and then maybe in a year you can start seeing differences. Those numbers may vary just based on complexity of the customer, but if a customer is looking to make that start their digital transformation journey, sometimes Proficy Scheduler is a good place to start just because the time to implement is just shorter, and you can start seeing results pretty quickly, whereas an MES project sometimes just takes longer and there's a lot more going on there. So
exactly. And to highlight too, I think with greater integration with the wider Proficy portfolio, if they do want to scale up to the full MES solution, it'll be very easy to include Plan Apps or Proficy Smart Factory at that point in time. Any other questions? I mean, I think if there aren't any, but once this video is shared and if there are other questions that come up, definitely use the QR code on the screen to send us and contact us at any point to ask other questions, not just on Proficy Scheduler, but I think other products within our portfolio as well.
yeah, if nothing else, that is all we had prepared to present today. Like Abose said, if any questions come up later in time, feel free to scan this code and put that in there, whether it's specifically about Proficy Scheduler or any other Proficy products.
All right, thank you, Carol and Abose. And I also wanted to add to that you guys will be getting this webinar recorded session in a thank you email afterwards as well.
Okay. If nothing else, thanks everyone for joining. Thank you for your time. And like we said, let us know if there's any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.